Okay, guys, we are back. Somehow my entire app just closed. I'm vlogging from my phone as normal, and I do not know why in the world the app just kitchen. Ignore the sexy man walking around with no shirt in the background. Just my hunty. I am going to share one of our favorite recipes here at the house. As you guys know me, I don't really like to cook a lot, but when I do, I like to make things that are easy, fast, and of course delicious, soulful, fill you up, and that are scrumptious. If I'm going to take the time in front of a hot stove in the summer, then it is going to be something that we all really like, that I enjoy to cook, that's easy, that's quick, and that my kids will eat as well. So I'm going to share something with you guys that I personally love, my man loves, and my little girl Braylon. The last time I cooked this, it was one of her favorite things. So she's been a little bit of a picky eater lately, has not been eating really well. So I decided to throw this together for her basically tonight, and because it's something that my man can eat anytime I fix it, I love it, and it's just something good and hot for an end of a summer's day for a meal. So really quickly, the ingredients are super easy, super fast, like literally stovetop microwave done. You are going to need like a medium size saucepan that you can boil in, like more of like a quart, I guess, size pan, that you can, anything you can boil noodles in. Like if it's just going to be you and one other person and you don't need many noodles, you can even have a small saute pan to cook your noodles in. But because I am feeding me, my man, whom I can normally eat about the same amount as, and my little girl, if you watch my vlogs from earlier today, Jensen is over at his granny's. It is the day before the 4th of July, and I'm only having to cook for the three of us tonight. But if Jensen were here, then this is something that he would also eat too. I pick up a box of rotini noodles, or you can use egg noodles, either one. I've cooked it with both. It's delicious with both, whichever is your preference. Try it with both. You're also going to need either a can or packet of brown gravy mix. And then I pick up my favorite, the Hormel beef tips and gravy that's already in a serving dish. The beef tips are already all cut up in here. You slide the sleeve off, and this little baby goes straight into the microwave. You can freeze these, but because I normally make these, they come in different ones like turkey and gravy, beef tips and au jus sauce, roast and au jus sauce, beef tips and gravy. And there's also recipes when you get this meat that's already packaged like this. In the turkey one comes with turkey gravy, obviously. The beef tips come with gravy, and then the roast comes in like an au jus sauce that it's already pre-packaged in. So when you pick this up, and again, this is not sponsored, but it is Hormel. I made a dinner similar to this with the turkey and gravy, and I used a can of Campbell's turkey gravy as the extra gravy on the side. It was delicious. I made mashed potatoes, and then we had open-faced turkey sandwiches. The recipe and the video is linked down below, or if you want to go check out my playlist, it's in my vlogs and recipes. But it was the same brand. It was the same exact deal, except it was turkey or chicken and gravy, one of the two. And again, this is not sponsored, but Hormel and me are like this. They're super easy. You throw this entire pack in the microwave, whether it's frozen or it's thawed out from the refrigerator, either one. It cooks in the microwave. It makes a vacuum sealed pack that makes all these juices just flow together, and it is so delicious. It tastes like I literally just pulled it from the oven. We love these. They're really easy in the summertime. I pull one out. It's enough for all of us in my little family of 4. So I'm sure if you have a bigger family, you may want to pick up 2 of these depending on how many you are feeding. But for 2 adults and 2 kids, this is plenty. Like even if the kids were a little bit older, this would still be plenty. So just as a reference, this feeds all 4 of us, and I normally have a small bowl of leftovers that I package up for Braylon because, like I said, this is her favorite, and she will normally eat it for lunch the next day with what I have left. But so rotini noodles is what I'm using tonight. I've already got my water boiling and poured in the amount of noodles that I want. Now this is one of these guesstimate type deals. If you want a lot of noodles, depending on the amount of people that you are feeding, I kind of eyeball my noodles and just boil water, vegetable oil, and salt to keep my noodles from sticking. And that's just what I do. I literally just throw them on about how many I think that will feed us, and that's it. But If you wanted to make more, of course, you could use a stock pot, boil more noodles, make the whole box if you were feeding more adults or have more kids. But again, for me, I probably do, I want to say about 3 cups of noodles total. A cup apiece for JJ and I, and then the kids normally split a cup of noodles by the time they're cooked. Then I'm also going to start in a small saucepan my extra gravy. As you can see from this packaging, it does come with gravy in it, but because I mix all of this and my noodles together once it's done, we like a little bit of extra gravy with ours, but this may be enough gravy for you. So the extra brown gravy is optional, but we're saucy people, so we like the sauce. But again, you can also choose to cook this stovetop or microwave. I do mine in the microwave because it's just easier. I cook it that way. I peel it back. I take a spatula, scrape all the gravy out, and put it right in with the noodles. But I'm going to go ahead, since my noodles are almost done, and pop this into the microwave. I'm going to have to pull it out. Sissy girl, mommy's almost got your noodles. Literally in the microwave 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, and then of course you're going to let it stand for 2 minutes, peel back the vent, and then it will just kind of after it makes a big bubble in the microwave and like makes its little steam packet and cooks it, you let it sit for about 2 minutes, peel it back, and then by that time normally my extra gravy and my noodles I've already drained. My extra gravy is done in my saucepan, so I'll go ahead and put that in now. My noodles are actually done as we speak. I went ahead and put those on before we started, but again, all you are going to want to do is start your noodles first. Obviously, noodles normally take around 10 to 12 minutes to boil, to cook, no matter how much you're making. How much more or smaller does not matter. You always turn, of course, as you know, when you're boiling noodles, you turn your burner up on high, get it to a rumble, pour your noodles in, keep it to a boil. Make sure if you're not going to add oil to your water to stir them so they do not stick to the bottom. I add a little bit of salt because I like flavor, and I like for when my noodles are boiling for them to kind of have a little bit of salt, and the oil again is to keep them from sticking to each other or to the bottom of the pan. Now, anytime normally that you get a package like this of gravy mix, it's normally a cup of gravy and a cup of water, like it equals out to a cup total of gravy. So I'm going to go ahead now and get me a cup of water and start boiling the extra gravy that I'm making now. The noodles, like I said, are done, basically. I can tell by looking at them normally. You check, like on any box that you get your noodles in, it will normally tell you the exact amount of water that you will need. It's going to tell you the exact amount of noodles to put in with that water. So you can normally go by the serving that's on your packaging. Like cooking directions is right here on the side of Rocket Scientist, but if you need help and you need to know per se how much water, how big of a pan you need, the instructions are always on the side of any kind of box of noodles that you get. This is a store brand. This is one of our local grocery stores here in my town. I just get the generic brand of noodles. Tonight, like I said, I'm using ROTINI, but you can use egg noodles and it's really good that way too. When you buy these boxes from HORMEL, it normally comes with like a couple of different recipe choices on the back, and as a matter of fact, they do have over egg noodles. Heat and serve shredded tips over egg noodles and enjoy simple as that. It's also really good as a beef stir fry or as beef nachos. You literally can take tortilla chips, top them with any of your favorite toppings, cheese, tomatoes, salsa, anything, and mix this beef and gravy in with the chips, and it's really good. I have actually tried that way before. Or I sometimes will like to steam a bag of broccoli and just take the white plain rice that I keep here in my cabinets, and I'll cook white rice, soy sauce, the beef tips, and broccoli, and kind of make my own beef and broccoli mixture at home. But these are just so super handy. They're really delicious. Like I said, it completely tastes like it comes straight out of the oven when you take it out of this packaging. Again, this is not sponsored, but I absolutely love these things. Like, I really cannot get enough of them. And again, they are suitable for freezing. They last a really long time, and they are slow simmered cooked. That's why they have the whole flavor pocket when you put them in the microwave. But they're delicious. My kids love them. The meat is really tender, really good. So again, just one of my personal favorites and preferences is the Hormel pre-made beef like this. Now, if you want to do your own homemade beef, you can completely do that too, and it's just as good. Put a roast in the crock pot and make you some noodles, or throw in even some carrots or peas, green beans, anything you want to put with it, some roast seasoning, and cookers roast overnight, and then still do the same thing with noodles and extra gravy. It really is so delicious and so good and easy to make. And then you just throw some noodles with it, and it makes for a really wholesome dinner. I do really like to have this with mashed potatoes sometimes too. And like I said, we can take just plain white bread here at my house, a loaf of white bread, and eat it with that. My husband even, or fiance rather, he even with this meal takes white bread on the side and eats it with his noodles and his beef, and he absolutely loves it. When I asked him tonight if he wanted me to make this or raviolis, I make a really delicious cheese ravioli, which I do intend on filming for you guys as well. It's like a white cheese ravioli and a special cheese marinara sauce that's delicious. I will do a recipe video on that whenever I make it, but he chose this. He was like, and I'm gonna not let Sissy snack too much before dinner because she loves when you make this. So again, even my 1-year-old loves this. I can chop it up into little bite sizes for her, and she will just stuff her little face. And if you want to make something extra on the side, this is just something easy and quick just to make this as one meal. It will fill you up just this alone. But a good side with this is mashed potatoes, because literally you can have them on the side with the brown gravy too, and it's just delicious all together. So now I'm going to give you guys a little view at what's happening. My rotini noodles are done. In case you can't tell, they're obviously not, they don't have that like dark yellow to them. You can tell just by looking in the water that they're soft. I've also got my brown gravy back here boiling. I've taken a whisk and just started to kind of keep going with it. Something about brown gravy that I learned at a very young age when I helped my mom in the kitchen is if you do not continue with a whisk or like a fork or something, it's so easy to scorch and burn on the bottom. So I try to keep that like on a medium heat and just kind of roll with it there. So that is exactly what your stovetop should look like. I'm getting ready to drain these noodles. Keep stirring that gravy in the process. As you can see, it's bubbling and boiling up. If you don't really be careful with your gravy, it is like the easiest thing to burn or scorch, like I said, on the bottom. But so right now we have our meat in the microwave, which is done. I'm just kind of letting it sit now, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down on my gravy. Let me see here. Turn my heat down a little bit on my gravy to low almost, just to where I know that it's gonna not be so hot on the bottom of it while it's still simmering, because as you can see, it is still boiling. Like that whole ring right there is like the burner ring under it, keeping it really hot. So I just try to move that around a little bit to kind of give it its own like little zest and flavor. I always add a little bit of salt and pepper, like to almost anything that I make. I'm also going to add that just as a personal preference myself to my noodles once I mix all of this together with the meat and stuff in it. But so that my noodles do not get too tender and just start to squish or fall apart. Now that I have that turned down on low, grab a a strainer out of my cupboard, and I'm going to strain these noodles and get them ready to mix with the meat. So we have our strainer. It's time to get a free face steam from this water. refreshing. And literally, I'm in, if you're a family of 4, or even just for you and your spouse, or you and a friend, whatever, this is a good size pot personally for me. Anytime I cook our noodles, spaghetti, anything. And I'm also going to return those noodles back to this pot and add my meat and gravy all to this pot to make the final dish. Have before to rinse them in cold or hot water. Well, I've made pasta before, like pasta salad, like a cold salad with these, and I did not know it until recently, but if you are going to make a cold salad, obviously, like, this is a blonde moment, but you would rinse your pasta in cold water to go ahead and be cooling it down faster, and so that it will kind of harden up for the refrigerator. And then for pour over or over sauce, rinse in hot water. So, salt and oil, I don't actually like to rinse my pasta a whole lot, but I do take just a little bit of hot water over it just to kind of break it up and get anything that may have come off of it while I was cooking it off of the actual pasta, and just give it one good rinse, and then kind of let it sit in the sink for a minute while it finishes like straining out all the water, so that go to mix my beef and my gravy. You don't want to have obviously a lot of water in there with it to make it like a watered down taste to your gravy. So I do like to make sure, like, I'll turn my pot back over and let the burner be on low, so any extra water that was in here from cooking the pasta will kind of dry up a little bit, so that I don't return it back and it just have like water simmering in the bottom. Come over one more again. I'm going to remove this from the heat and just try to make sure that I have gotten any little baby lumps out of my brown gravy. And I literally just take this extra brown gravy that I made and I pour it directly in with the noodles and the beef and the gravy that I'm getting ready to get out of the microwave, and put it all back into this same pot. Break up the meat, because when you get it out, it's kind of in like little sections, but it tears apart so easy. So that way it's like bite-sized pieces and shredded down, and not one person gets the huge chunk of meat that comes with it. I kind of just shred it up with a fork, or take the tip of my plastic spoon, and it tears apart like that easy. But so just making sure now that all the lumps that may be in this is out of my brown gravy. It is done. It is thickened up. I will try to show you. And literally all you're going to do is peel back, but of course be careful because it is going to be a little bit hot. But as you can see, all of that gravy melts down really nicely into the meat. It does come in like bigger pieces, so I am going to kind of tear that apart. But the juice in this is so good. Like, it mixed in with those noodles, it literally is one of our favorite things to eat. But if you can tell just from what I've peeled back here, like, some of the meat does come in like bigger sections. It does say tips on the outside, and the way that it looks on the packaging, you would think that it was like actual torn up shreds, but it's actually bigger pieces of meat. But as you can see, it literally just tears apart so easily. The meat in this is so soft. Like I said, my little 1-year-old, she's only got, well, her 2 little eye teeth have finally came in. But so, like, this is one of the big chunks of meat that's in it. But whenever I go to take even just this plastic spoon, it tears apart as simple as that. So it's really super easy to tear apart. I'm sorry. So like I said, I'll just kind of take my spoon and go in and shred it a little bit with it before I mix it in with the noodles. But again, so that's kind of what you're looking at. As long as it's hot, then it's done, because it is pre-cooked, which is something, again, that I love. The easier the better for me, especially in the summertime, especially when it's hot. We've had a long day. Like, I don't want to have to spend a lot of time in here on the stove. So again, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and give my noodles another couple of shakes. back into my skillet that I had on way too high. So yeah, I had my skillet on way too high there, so I want to make sure to kind of move those around a little bit and make sure that I don't straight burn it. I didn't realize that my skillet was that high, and as soon as those noodles plopped down in there, honey, they said it was not hot enough that it turned them black, because I've done that before. But again, just kind of returning the noodles back into the pan. Because my gravy is done as well, I can also go ahead and scrape and add it in with the noodles. I'm going to go ahead and be adding that over into my noodle pan. And sometimes I'll just kind of go half and half, like I'll add half the noodles, half of the gravy. That way, as I'm adding the beef that I have and the gravy in it, I kind of know as I'm bit into this pan, and literally just by mixing it with this spoon, the meat kind of just falls apart into the noodles. Simple as that. The more I kind of just stir the gravy in and stir the beef in, it kind of falls apart into your noodles you really need and can ask for. Now sometimes I will leave a few bigger pieces, like for JJ, my fiance, just so that as he's eating his noodles, he has bigger sections of meat and it's not torn completely apart. We'll leave some a little bit bigger for him and then kind of shred it into smaller bites for the kids. And of course, I don't care to eat it that way either, just more bite size. But for him, sometimes I will leave the meat pieces about like so in with his noodles, just so that way he can kind of stab at noodles as he wants them, or the beef, either one. Now, like I said, I will continue on with this process. I will go ahead and add the rest of the meat, the rest of the gravy, take a spatula. You can simply get the rest of the gravy out of the packaging that came with the meat. But this is going to basically be your finished product, and it is my yummy beef noodles. As you can see, you can leave the chunks a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. And again, I will continue just to add a little bit more of my brown gravy that I made on the side. And then I will also, just for taste, and of course you can choose to do this or not, but I do add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt just to give it a little extra zang. And then of course if JJ wants to, he can choose to add more or less to his own bowl. So I just do a little bit for flavoring on my own, just so that it does have a little bit of extra. But honestly, you guys, this on its own has so much good flavor and taste to it that you really don't have to like add any beef bouillon cubes, anything like that. It is completely awesome all by itself. Really, really is so good. And again, just take your spatula, kind of scrape out the rest of the gravy from your gravy bowl, from your packaging, and you have my yummy beef noodles. And again, guys, beyond the time that it took for my noodles to boil, 10 to 12 minutes, all you literally are doing is basically cooking your noodles and then getting your meat hot and cooking some gravy. That doesn't take but 5 minutes. So this can be like with everything, the prepare time, getting everything out. The biggest thing that you wait for is for your noodles to cook. And while they're cooking, you can make your gravy. When the noodles are almost done or are done, you pop that in the microwave for 2 minutes. And now literally I'm ready to bowl up and dinner is served. So I hope you had another great episode in Brittney's Crazy Kitchen. I'm going to go ahead and clean Braylon's tray and get her in her high chair and get ready for us all to eat. It is still very hot outside. It is very hot in this kitchen. As you can see, I have a little box fan running back there. It is so hot in this side of our house for some reason, but I'm gonna go ahead and get everybody's bowls ready and serve it up, and I will see you guys on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you tried it, if you liked it, if you have any ideas for me to try or any other ways that you have tried these beef tips, make sure to leave some comments below. And if you haven't already, do not miss another crazy moment with this crazy woman. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to give me a big thumbs up if you liked the video, and make sure to give me a big thumbs up if you didn't like the video. I will see you guys next time.